we even get into this, I said my predictions were Expedition 33. What did I have in there? Donkey Kong Bonanza 2, or not 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm probably going to put Death Stranding 2 in there. I'm probably putting Ghost of Yote in there. It's not even out, but I'm pretty sure it's going to get in there. I'm going to put Split Fiction in there somewhere. I think that came out this year. Toss up between Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Doom: The Dark Ages. I don't think they'll win, but nominated. But overall, I think Expedition clears because I've played most of those games. I said, yeah. Let's do it. Game of the Year stuff from Gamer Ranks. Let's see what they talking about.
I'm on a limb here by saying that 2025 has been a pretty good year for games. The GTA 6 delay, it stings. Not going to pretend it doesn't, but even without it, this has been a stacked year with a ton of interesting and diverse games. To some extent, I'm almost happy
I just
GTA
need the game to start dropping.
Game gives all this other great stuff room to breathe, as well as some room to battle it out in what's probably the most stacked and crowded Game of the Year contests in recent memory. What makes this year's Game of the Year discussion so interesting is that there's no big obvious
Silksong.
There's no GTA
I haven't
5
beat it,
or
but
Elden Ring to take the air out of the room.
Maybe.
Obviously, everyone's going to have their own personal favorites, but even among us here in the
There
Game
you go.
Ranks crew, there's
I
varying
called that one.
opinions on what
Me and my
could
girlfriend
and
be
should
playing that
win,
shit.
but
Shit's
even more
fun.
so, just an evaluation of what probably will win. Often there's a game where
Blueprints.
we're all like,
Sneak.
well, that's going to win, even if we wanted to or not. We're not at that point. And yeah, I get it. It seems like it might be a little early to start this discussion.
Not
but Keep
really.
in mind, ballots for Game
It
of the Year
stops
at the
in
Game
November.
Awards go out
Like,
early
you can't-
November,
yeah.
and the actual show airs between December 6th and 12th, depending on the year. In 2025, the show's airing December 11th, and because the ballots go out so early, games that come out in November, December just aren't eligible to win.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the Game
That's what I'm
Awards
saying.
aren't the definitive Game of the Year. I mean, for the most part, it's considered the big one, but every website does their own awards, and
What up,
everybody has their own
dark ass?
personal top picks.
Chill.
A lot of the
Lucky
time,
I'm,
you read a certain site or watch a certain
what's the
person
word?
because you
Confident
agree
in
with
my
them, and then what
complexion.
they
People
put
call me
as
dark
Game of the
ass.
Award
That's
matters
not new
more
to
than
me.
the Game Awards to you, but collectively speaking,
make you- let me-
like
what
the
you
Oscars
look like,
or
don't
the
make me
Emmys,
start
the Game
calling you
Awards are a
names.
lightning rod of discussion. It's the biggest award show in gaming, and no matter how much you or I might disagree with them, they're the big boys. So, hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, we're gonna run down the frankly ridiculous slate of games in the running for Game of the Year 2025. We're not doing it as a list necessarily here. I think this one's better suited for a more discussion format, because some games we're gonna want to talk more about, some games we're gonna want to talk less about. And before we get going, I just gotta say, if you like what we do, we would really appreciate it. What isn't going to get it win, what lived up to the hype, what didn't, what
Metal
deserves
Gear, I don't
recognition,
think
what
will.
isn't gonna
Metal
get
Gear
it.
and
But of
Oblivion,
course,
I don't think
if
they'll
you like
get
a
it because
game
of
and you play the
remake.
game and you enjoy the game, that's what really matters. This is just fun to speculate about, especially if you're terminally industry brained like we all are here. So before we get into what games we do think will make up the primary nominees for the Game Awards, let's just run down how much of an insane year it's been. So what's so interesting about 2025? It's of the year contender. It really is a huge step up from the first game, and it deserves stable. Still a game come to live out or nowhere surprise slam dunks. There's been plenty of it, starting with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 in February. This game kind of caught us all by surprise because while the first game is kind of a flawed gem, the sequel is absolutely excellent. It's got an engaging story,
as far as life or as far as
beautiful
games.
world to explore, and it was impressively stable compared to how much of a buggy mess the original was.
What it's called.
Kingdom Come was an immediate Game of the Year contender.
I hate that
It really is a huge step up from the first game, and it deserves all the accolades it got. Later the same month, though, we got another game that everybody pre-release was kind of like, oh, this is probably going to be a Game of the Year candidate, but it didn't really fully live up to the hype.
That shit wasn't
of course,
optimized
Monster
on
Hunter
thing.
Wilds.
It
Now,
was cool.
We can all have our different opinions on Monster Hunter Wilds. I actually think it's a logical step. It's quite a good game. It's basically what I want. a lot of people thought it's not as good as Monster Hunter World, but there's reasons why a more streamlined experience works better for certain people, and there's reasons why it doesn't. And no judgment, whichever side of the line you are on that. I think we all know it's not really in the running now. There's also some pretty bad performance issues with it that I'm just going to say are a serious mark against that game. But one of the prevailing conversations this year has been difficulty. Like, the majority of the biggest, most talked about games this year are uniquely demanding challenges. Kingdom Come goes a more simulation route with its difficulty, puts a lot of pressure on new players in a way a lot of open world RPGs like that don't. As the player gains skills and learns how the game works, it becomes less difficult, but it takes perseverance to get to that point. On the flip side, a lot of the complaints about Monster Hunter Wilds is that they made it too easy. People say it removed a lot of the challenge that makes those games so interesting, and that left people disappointed. I'm not sure that's really what it is, but I get why people are saying that too.
No doubt.
But Split Fiction, that's a game that doesn't really fit the difficulty discussion. Came out March 6th. It's one of those games we all expected to be good, and it was. As a follow-up to It Takes Two, it's an absolute triumph of co-op game design.
Every game I've been calling is probably on this
list,
list,
mechanically a little more complex. Sure, the story is fluff, but
I feel pretty confident
It Takes Two story is odd, to say the least, at sometimes. And I'm just gonna say this one has a more entertaining story. It seems like almost a prerequisite nomination. I feel like it would basically any other year. And at least early on, I think we all assumed 2025 wasn't gonna be as stacked as it is. So maybe at the time, seemed like an easy lock for those 5 slots. But now in September, it's not an easy pick. Of course, it's still a great co-op game, and some of those early safety votes
I don't think it'll win, but
I think Split Fiction's
it's
probably
only
in the running.
because
There's a lot
Expedition
of talk about
33
so
is,
I'm gonna say,
not even joking, clearing all these
included.
games.
I think it's fairly safe, but
and I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to see a lot of this because I haven't beaten that all the way.
I don't think Shadows Heat included. I think it was generally considered a step up for the series. I don't think these win Game of the Year anymore. They're gonna.
Assassin's Creed Shadows is about to get shit on by Goty if it's really good. That's the only issue I'm having, and I don't think it's beating Expedition 33. I've played a little, I haven't beaten it, but not gonna lie, that Ubisoft bloat.
I have to completely reboot the whole thing or make a new one from the ground up, and I don't think they're going to do that. Getting back on track, I think the next major pick for many, especially at time of release, was Blueprints, which came out April 10th.
This game was really
it's a roguelike
good.
puzzle game. It's difficult to define, hard to pin down.
It's on
I
Game
do think
Pass.
what drove
This
so
game
much
is
of
actually
its
really
appeal,
fucking
especially
good.
early on, though, is
and what
just
y'all are
that.
seeing is not what y'all even think it is.
It's a brutally challenging puzzle game that is literally full of surprises. There's
crazy.
Genuinely mind-blowing stuff in this game, but it's all wrapped up in a semi-random roguelike structure.
You gotta
At
get
first, it
through
feels
it.
like the randomness is bullshit, and then you get far enough in, you start understanding that you can control the randomness, and it's satisfying as hell.
Yeah.
And then you get further in, and the randomness starts to feel like bullshit again. It impresses early, and it's extremely difficult to solve on your own. But in this case, the difficulty of the game is a double-edged sword. Some people love it, some don't. I think opinions are a little more divisive now than back when it immediately came out. But ultimately, I think it's another major contender for Game of the Year, even with other more popular games.
This is like this year's Balatro.
Expedition 33, a game that absolutely dominated the discussion. And
if this does not win Game of the Year, it is rigged to go towards a PlayStation-only game, and it's either Death Stranding or Yote. And if I promise, nothing else, even those games, like Yote is not going to touch. Like, I don't think it's, I'm not going to say it's not going to touch it as far as how good it is, but this is a generational game, bro. This game exceeds all expectations in every aspect. I was thoroughly impressed by this game. Beautiful game.
Is in many ways still one of the front runners for Game of the Year 2025. I think people were seriously following the game before release. They knew it was going to be something special, but for a lot of us, it really blindsided us. You see this thing without knowing much about it. You see it's going to be maybe a flawed cult classic or a middle-aged
amazing, gameplay amazing,
instant classic was
parrying,
definitely not on my bingo card.
slightly Souls-like, only a little bit.
Came out in upcoming game lists.
Turn-based
I mean,
RPG.
it looked cool to me, but I wasn't expecting it to blow my mind or anything.
Everything
it did,
hits.
Though. Like coming from such a small team being sold for
everything.
A lower price
and it's
point,
on Game Pass.
Is just
lower team
it's an
development.
Excellent RPG, a beautiful story, excellent voice acting. incredible music, and an innovative battle system that
I'm telling you.
remains a nostalgic throwback. It is that and a bold step forward at the same time. That's what makes the game work so well. While certain games have kind of inevitably faded from memory somewhat, the game is still heavily in the conversation. It's a constant source of debate and discussion. It's got challenging gameplay, it's complex, has a somewhat divisive story, and a weird relationship with the RPG genre, given it's from France and it's a Japanese RPG. One of those games that's deliberately old school, but
That
also
is
very modern
strange.
in a way that speaks to people. It wasn't until June 26th that we did get another game with the same caliber with Death Stranding 2. Major games released between, like Doom, The Dark Ages, Mario Kart World, and the game of the year in our hearts, the masterpiece that was Mind's Eye. But none of those games fit the game of the year mold that everybody's expecting. Death Stranding 2 does. It's a massive game with tons of story full of Hollywood celebrities and cutting-edge technology made by Jeff Keighley's best friend Hideo Kojima.
that's the
And
shit I
there's
was
a
talking
doll
about.
that's a man, and his name is Dollman. It's the type of thing that the Game Awards was made for. It's got everything an award show would want, and while it's in many ways a highlight reel of Kojima's career, it's still a fantastic game that irons out some of the flaws of the original, which maybe for some people makes it less of a unique experience compared to the first, but it's so much fun. It's weird and dark and goofy and slow and meditative sometimes, and a full-on action-packed thrill ride others. It's got everything. If you're on board with Kojima weirdness, which he leans into this time around, both in seriously dark content,
do
and
wanna play this
fourth
stuff.
wall breaking absurdity. I mean, it might be the best all-around game from Kojima, not necessarily the best of his games, but the best all-around of his games. But a game I don't think a lot of people were expecting us to talk about was Donkey Kong Bonanza, which came out in
Told you.
mid-July. Looked
I'm
too
call-
many. Okay.
I am calling all these shits, bruh. I'm not joking. Real gamer.
Pre-release, nothing to get too hyped over. Want to say, look back at me talking about it. I was like, this is going to be good. This is going to be good shit. And it was. Nintendo was really cooking with Mario Odyssey and Red Faction Guerrilla as the ingredients. It was the crossover nobody knew they wanted. It's one of the weirdest, most ambitious Nintendo games yet, and it's an absolutely just a
That
delight
shit would get a
from
10
top to
out of
bottom.
10 from
It's
me. This game would have gotten a 10 out of 10 from me if it didn't have the frame rate drops. That's just me personally.
a game that's so unusual that it's actually a little
It's not
off-putting at
ridiculous, it's
first.
just like,
what the
man.
hell is this? What am I playing? The more you play it, though, the more it makes sense. And it's hard to believe they were able to make a platform where you can basically destroy everything, and the game just works. The ambition is off the charts, and it works. Like, it is a fun ride from start to finish, and that entire ending sequence is completely insane. In a year full of some amazingly hype endings, Bonanza might have the hypest. But jumping ahead to September 4th, that's the Megaton
Yeah,
Bob.
this is the
It is
wild
known as
card.
Hollow Knight Silk Song. It was a meme because it took so long to come out. Most wish-listed game on Steam for many years. It was inevitable that this thing was at least going to be in Game of the Year discussion for whatever year it actually came out on, as long as it, was good. And while Monster Hunter Wilds got decried for being too easy, Silksong has actually had some controversy for being too hard. I think the difficulty of this one caught people by surprise. And when it comes to difficult games, you never really know where the pendulum's going to swing in terms of overall opinion. But yeah, some extremely challenging games got universal praise like Elden Ring. And sometimes difficulty generates a lot of criticism like Shadow the Erd Tree. Opinions about
Yeah.
Silksong are pretty hot right now. There's a lot of back and forth in regards to difficulty, at least within its fan community. I think the gaming press opinions are a lot more generally positive. Back when we gave our first impressions, we weren't completely sure which way to lean on it, but having been able to fully finish it, I was crazy positive about the game, even though I was kind of not sure whether to say it was what it needed to be or not. It's such an excellently designed game. So dense and satisfying. There's so many little details and secrets and surprises.
This
It's a game
game
that's just,
beats
it's so
ass,
much fun to
bruh.
explore. And there's sometimes it makes you want to pull your hair out, yes,
Yeah.
but it ultimately does play fair. It's very challenging, but I never feel like the game made me die. I feel like I died playing the game not good enough. The challenge is crazy, but it is super satisfying to finally finish off some boss you were initially struggling with. Like, just what you're getting here is nuts. For just $20, you get 50 hours of
Dang, I
content,
didn't know she
and
was
that's not
20
100%. It's not accessible in the way that the original Hollow Knight is, but man, does it deserve a spot among the Game of the Year contenders. Another game that deserves a spot is actually last year's Indiana Jones The Great Circle. It wasn't eligible last year because it was released in December. I don't think it's going to get the attention it deserves because
No.
it came out
Expedition.
last year and people aren't going to be thinking about it.
That's true.
Man, is it an
I
excellent
enjoyed
game,
this
and
game,
it's
though.
probably Machine Game's best. It's the best Indiana Jones adventure.
I will say this time and time again, bro. This game is a tech demo for Skyrim.
Since The Last Crusade by freaking Country Mile.
This
and
is
the
what
gameplay
Skyrim
is like
used to be
closer
like,
to
bro.
Dishonored than an Uncharted game. It's a super satisfying
Telling you, without any of the third, well, maybe the third person.
blockbuster of a game
Yeah.
that I just wanted to
Because
give
when you're in the caves and stuff in these Indiana Jones, that shit feels like a fucking like Elden Ring game, or not Elden Ring, sorry, Elder Scrolls game.
a shout out here because I don't think it's going to get the attention that it deserves. Other than
I
that, what's
really
left?
hope Elder
And there's
Scrolls 6 play like
few
that.
upcoming games of potential, like Hades 2 is releasing out of early access September 25th. Ghost of Yotei is coming October 2nd. It's been a while since we've gotten a proper AAA PlayStation game of the year, and the first Ghost of Tsushima, still holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts. Right now, it's kind of hard to say how much attention the follow-up's going to get because what is it going to bring to the table that the original didn't? We'll see.
Yeah.
Is it more of the game? Is that what people want? Is that enough? These are all questions we won't be able to answer until we've actually.
I think that's why they're making the
game.
combat
There's more
so
big games coming out with
much
a few.
more.
I mean, Silent Hill F is going to be a big one. Battlefield 6, Black Ops 7,
Them
Ninja Gaiden
hoes ain't
4,
getting
Vampire
game.
Masquerade Bloodlines
No.
2, Outer Worlds 2, Metroid Prime 4.
Ow.
But there's going to be a few
I
of
don't know
these that
about
aren't
the
even
Metroid.
eligible.
Yeah,
Call
I'm
of
about
Duty
to say
games also just
ineligible.
don't win Game of the Year. Battlefield games probably
No.
foolhardy to expect that as well. Not an indictment of their quality. It's just they don't generate the kind of buzz with the voting audience that a game like Silent Hill F, if done right, could. Kind of a wild card, could go either way. We've been
This looks-
surprised
damn,
so
this
many
look
times
good,
this
actually. I don't
year.
remember it
So
looking
who
like
knows?
this.
So here, these are the games that I think are likely to be in the running for Game of the Year 2025. Clear Obscura Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hollow Knight Silksong, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Split Fiction, Blueprints, and maybe based on what happens when it comes out, what the game is when it comes out, Reputation certainly
pretty much same
precedes
shit.
it, but it could be out of the running based
I
on just
put
being
Doom in there.
an
There was no
uninspired
Doom
follow-up.
talk.
Ghost
That's
of Yotei.
crazy.
Hades
Maybe-
2 is a really good game, and the first one got a lot of buzz and awards,
think-
but this is not getting the attention the first one did. Might be wrong.
I don't think
Could
Hades
sweep the
2 would get
awards
it
like the
based
first
off-
game did.
well,
But at least right now, I just
not
not
based off
seeing
the game,
hype.
just-
That's 7 pretty legitimate contenders for the big award. Even though we're leaving out some pretty
That's
popular and
essentially pretty
well-regarded
much
games.
what
I
I
mean, Mario
had.
Kart World is
No.
very high rated, and Elden Ring came out this year.
No.
Though, and it's not even in the conversation. It's been a packed year without question, and that's not even counting some of the big possible dark horse
that's what I'm
candidates
saying.
that could sweep in out of
Doom.
nowhere. Now, to be clear, the games I'm going to call dark horses, I don't expect any of them to be in the running. Maybe they should be in the running, but I don't expect it. Like Schedule 1, it's a standout indie game, but it's just a little
Yeah,
too early
not for Game
access.
of the Year.
Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 could get some attention. And then there's the darkest of dark horses, a little indie game called Look Outside that has burrowed into my brain, just won't go away. It's a relatively crude RPG maker
That's
game
fire.
that somehow manages to be one of the most haunting, legitimately scary, yet also hilarious games I've ever played. There's nothing out there quite like Look Outside. The more I think about it, the more I do feel it deserves a serious consideration, at least for nomination in the Game of the Year. It's pretty far from typical Game of the Year material, but look at the list. It's eclectic as hell. The gamut runs from most star-studded AAA to some pretty small indies. Blueprints was made by one guy, a solo developer. Silksong was made by 3 guys. I mean, there's triple the amount of guys, but very few guys. These kinds of indie games, they would have no chance in hell a few years ago, but like War, things have changed. Indies are, I mean, the idea of an indie game is becoming mainstream. You don't release a game independently and just expect it to be mainstream, but it's possible now. Probably the most talked about and highly anticipated game of the year is Silksong. So who's gonna win though? Now that, I have no idea. Last year the winner was
Expedition.
Astrobot, and that took some people by surprise. 2024 was kind of in a similar place where there was no clear winner, but I don't think the quality of the competition was quite the same. Everything's like really good this year. Like there's definitely some of the games we've mentioned today that are gonna be considered all-time greats. We will remember at least some of these games decades from now. As good as this year's roster is, I kind of think Clear Obscura might be the front runner. It's kind of just catnip for the type of person that votes in these things. It's got the attention, it's got the hype. It's also an out of nowhere small developer doing something crazy that's considered big.
Killed that
but
shit.
that doesn't mean the outcome's certain. Sometimes the safest pick is the most controversial pick. I suspect that played a bit of a part in why Astrobot won. Not to knock that game, but
Astrobot
some
was a
people are
really
kind of
good
mad because it
fucking
was
game,
just a
though.
safe choice. It's a great game, though. If
Yeah.
2025 has an equivalent, it's maybe Death Stranding 2 or Split Fiction. Possibly, again, depending on how it is when it comes out, Ghost of Yotei.
Yeah.
The big breakaway here is that if you're into a wide variety of games, this has been a really good year with a lot of interesting stuff to play. And even if you're only interested in the absolute best of the best that gets awards attention, there's still a lot to be happy about. Of course, not every single game on here is going to be everyone's cup of tea. And sure, the Game Awards is literally just a popularity contest for industry folks. It's ultimately, what we're talking about here, because there's plenty of great games, and I'm not going to knock a great game. A lot of these games are somebody's favorite game. These kinds of awards favor a certain kind
I'm
of...
good here. Appreciate it. I want to see that 7 he had up. So basically, out of these games, bruh, Expedition is still beating all of them. Like,
We're leaving out some pretty popular...
it just is. This is just in the middle. This is Expedition. What is this? Kingdom Come, Silk Song, DK, Death Stranding 2, Yotei over here. I don't remember this one.
well-regarded game.
Oh, Split Fiction. Yotei is or not. All right, fuck. Expedition 33 is clearing that, man. I'm just saying it's W video though, and that was really good actually. Shout out to Gamer Ranks. I called that. Called all these. Silk Song is new, so I couldn't call it, and I haven't beaten it. But I mean, it's if you get that many picks, then that's what it's gonna be. But yeah, that's good, man. Game of the year. You know what y'all think? Appreciate it. Hit the like, subscribe. Yeah.